40, commiserations on the defeat. What was kind of your key takeaway from your perspective, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, and it's sort of what we said the other night was it's a bit of a roll of the dice with our level of effort and energy and our level of intent and what we wanted to do. Defensively it was there for stretches, and this is where trying to get the ball where we want it to go. We got a lot of guys playing a lot of minutes that weren't necessarily part of the big picture in a sense of like their rotation and where they're doing this, and so knowing that we're trying to ease them into a transition of increasing their minutes. So, for example, Mo was great defensively and got after it, but we wanted to have a particular way to play when Drew brought the ball down, so it came back to him, or if someone else was bringing the ball down, to run something where it came back to Drew and put the shots where we wanted to shoot it. There was a stretch in the second quarter, I think, where Melbourne had 9 possessions and we got 7 stops in that run out of those 9 possessions. I think, and even one of them, Milton Doyle, got to the foul line. And so, that was a good example of a stretch where we sort of had a chance to bring it back into single digits in the second. But it was quick shots coming down the other end. It's like sometimes we just got to run something. We got to get it through. When we got Sco in the mid-post and we ran that pack action, you start moving the ball a little bit one side to the other, have some guys running off some screens. We needed to do some more off-ball stuff. And that's where we probably struggled with. We had the wrong guys probably taking the wrong shots. Now, can guys space the floor and catch and shoot? And we get our looks there, for sure. But I don't necessarily need someone coming off the handoff and looking to attack, knowing that's probably not what their strength is. So, that was an example where it would have been good to get some movement and get the shots where we wanted to take it. And then again, just like the looseness with the turnovers, like it's one thing to be pressured and there's another thing just to turn the ball over. And that's, again, still obviously when we talk about the guys that we have out there are playing hard with the right intention, but we got guys making some decisions that we probably don't want them making those decisions just yet at this stage in their career and within the team. So it's a work in progress in that regards, but obviously it shifts a little bit when we get some bodies returning.
Yeah, for sure. And as you just kind of alluded to, obviously missing some key players in the rotation. How much of kind of the struggles that you're alluding to offensively with the turnovers, maybe guys not being in the right spot that you want them in, how much of that comes down to, you're having guys out there that, as you mentioned, probably weren't part of the game plan to the extent that they happen to be at the moment?
Well, there's no secret. I mean, like between Jack and Wardenberg, they should be taking 30 of the 70 shots available. Right now on average, I think we're putting up 70. We want to be aiming for about 75 shots per game. Jack and Wardenberg should be taking 30 of those. So, we're talking just under 0.5%, half of the total possessions in terms of the usage. I'll give you an example like Al. Right now, his hands heavily strapped. He's doing a great job. We sort of wanted to utilise him where we could defensively and in the on balls and having set screens. But there's a couple of times where the ball went in the wrong direction and now it comes to Al and he's driving on his left hand and he turns it over and it's actually not Al's fault. Like Al just catches it. He's got barely any usage in his left hand. He's playing through an injury. And so the fact that if we had everyone available, we'd probably sit Al out to recover this, but we don't have the bodies. Stat was one we were going to potentially start today, but he ruled himself out with a hamstring injury. And so there's just less of available bodies of where we wanted to put the ball for particular actions. Like Al beats himself up over that turnover, but it's not his fault. We wanted to bring the ball back to Drew on the opposite side. That's an example there where, hey, once it looks the way it's supposed to look and Al's able to play in his natural position, we don't need him coming off the handoff as a receiver because he's great as a back cutter, slasher, floor spacer, rebounder, and that's his natural game.
Let's go for you. Obviously, as your coaches alluded to, obviously a lot of missing players at various points across the season so far. What's it been like for you to, I suppose you came into the team expecting to play like one particular role, and I'm sure that role has changed over the course of time. What's it been like for you as a player to kind of adjust to that over the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think that's why Forde brought me here, because I'm a versatile player. But reality is, like you're saying, not just that we have guys playing roles that they're not accustomed to. They're young. A lot of these guys first year, second year, maybe in this league. And for me, you know, I've been playing a lot of basketball. I've been playing since I was 6 years old. We got a lot of guys that didn't start playing until they were 18. So a lot of this stuff is really new. This is high level. It's a lot of good teams. And it's not that we're playing catch up. It's just we're learning a lot of the things that we're trying to build consistency on. It's almost like learning on the fly because they're doing things that they're not used to just yet, which I think they'll be great further in their careers as they get more acclimated. But the reality is we're professionals, and all I can do and all we can do is take full responsibility for the outcomes by what we put out on the floor, you know, and like what Forde said, going the wrong way, running the wrong offense, doing those kind of things, that's on us. That's on us as players, and that's something that we got to make adjustments and be more consistent in for 40 minutes. So it's no excuse for that, but I do think that our effort was a lot better tonight. You know, the scoreboard doesn't always show that, but I think that we'll keep building on what we have, and we're fighting through some tough times. We have a lot of guys banged up, a lot of guys fighting through injuries, little nicks and bumps. So, you know, we're just making do with what we have, and I know things will get better once we get bodies back and guys healthy. Like he said, we're missing two of our top four scorers, and it's just tough right now. And the biggest thing is that as a team, we're closer together than we have ever been before, and we kind of know what we need to do, especially after tonight, going forward to improve.
I wanted to ask you about that, I suppose. You know, clearly you're in kind of a rut at the moment, or in a tough patch. How do you, as kind of one of the leaders of the group, and I suppose, you know, help to keep the group together and keep, you know, pushing forward in what's clearly a difficult time for the team?
Yeah, like it's just honest conversations, and I think Forde's been pushing for that since the beginning. I mean, the team you saw in Canberra, you know, we had Waterberg, we had Jack, we didn't have our other import, which was in Drew, but we had all our bodies. And if you take a look at just how we played in Canberra, which was with a lot more energy, a lot more flow, you know, and more health, that is more of the team that we were expecting to build upon. And right before the season, we started having injury after injury after injury. So it's not that we make excuse for the injury, but as leaders, we have honest conversations. You know, guys can't take certain shots. Guys have to look for certain guys in certain instances so we can be more efficient. And when you play basketball, I think the more you get guys in the right position and taking the right shots, you'll have more efficiency. I think the lower the efficiency is when we're taking shots that, you know, one, we don't normally take in practice or that we don't work on, and two, even on the offensive glass, we offensive rebounded a lot more tonight because we took more shots that we knew that was within the offense. But when we don't do that, we don't even give ourselves a chance to get second chance points, to get second possessions, to be able to run some more offense and get a better look. So that's part of youth and growth, and I think Forde understands that. I think some of the veterans on the team understand that. So it's just constantly communicating that and really just, you know, trying to get guys to not speed it up in their development, but understand exactly what details they need to work on to get better.
How do you, I suppose, you mentioned clearly, there's some shots that you like and some shots that you're not. How do you, you know, on the fly during a game kind of adjust and push the team more towards taking the shots that you want to take?
Really, it's during the timeouts where we get to really refocus, and I think that's what the step is. What coach is talking about is it can't be during timeouts. It has to be on the floor when we huddle. Then we're communicating the right things, but it's just about actually doing it, you know. And I think watching a lot of film like we have been doing is helping, but it's just like we talked about in our last film session. It's about not just doing it in practice, but actually translating it in the game. And that's the piece we're just missing right now. It's just the translation from practice to the game. But I think we'll get a lot better going into next week.
I know we've spoken a lot about, this is 50-40, we've spoken a lot about Marcus's and the struggles he's had with his fouling. Obviously he still fouled out tonight, but played, I think, close to twice as many minutes as Wednesday night. Is that pleasing to see as far as his growth as a defender, and you know, within the span of a couple of days, he's managed to put in a lot more minutes for you out on the court there?
Yeah, you know, for Marcus, it was, what does it look like when he backs up Waterberg? And I think tonight's an example of that, where his role and what he's done really well in his career has been that, you know, that support, that big rim protector, rebounder, almost like the leader of that second unit, right? And so now, again, when we talk about, you know, shifting positions a little bit, we've got him in that first unit. So it's good to see that, like, what he's capable of doing. And this is what we talk about when we talk about guys playing to their potential, like playing to their averages, not having to go beyond themselves. You know, look, he fouled out and he played 26 minutes, but, you know, he's going to play 15, 18, right, when everyone's back. So, you know, I would, like, again, I want to keep him out there as long as I can, but also, you know, like, he's been doing this for a long time and he defends a certain way, and so to get him to completely change and reprogram his, like, let's say, bad habits because of the foul outs, but then it's almost like, again, another little reprogramming once Wardenberg comes back. So I don't want him to be soft and start being conservative with how you want to defend. I just want Marcus to be Marcus, and he was great. Like, he got 10 rebounds for us, he got a couple of blocks, a couple of cheap ones, unfortunately, but for the most part, that's what we want.